The CCJ says it cannot determine a date for Guyana's elections. The details of this and other stories in today's news. It's Friday, July 12. The Caribbean Court of Justice, in its post-judgment today on the consequential orders, has determined that it is not within their purview to set a date for elections in Guyana.
It would not therefore be right for the court, by the issuance of coercive orders or detailed directives, to presume to instruct the bodies on how they must act and thereby preempt the performance by them of their constitutional responsibilities. It is not, for example, the role of the court to establish a date on or by which the elections must be held, or to lay down timelines and deadlines that, in principle, are the preserve of political actors guided by constitutional imperatives.
President of the Caribbean Court of Justice, CCJ, Justice Adrian Saunders. Justice Saunders said it is duty of the constitutional actors to observe the rule of law in Guyana.
That is, the President and the Cabinet, the Parliament, and the Judiciary. All must be faithful to the spirit and letter of the Constitution and operate within the parameters given to each by the Constitution.
Reacting to the ruling handed down this afternoon by the CCJ, where attorneys at law Neil Boston and Robert Corbin,
I think the consequential orders were the right orders. It's a political issue, but one expects that the constitutional players who are supposed to move the constitutional provisional into line will act in accordance with the law.
The Caribbean Court of Justice is the highest court. They have made a very clear and precise judgment, and it's for the actors who have heard the judgment to act accordingly.
Felicia Valenzuela, InfoHub.
The CCJ has also urged that it is of utmost importance that the GCOM chair is selected and appointed soonest.
The President and the Leader of the Opposition should, as soon as possible, embark upon and conclude the process of appointing a new GCOM chairman. This imperative is now of the utmost urgency in light of our decision in the no confidence motion cases that the motion was validly passed, thereby triggering the need for fresh general elections.
President of the Caribbean Court of Justice, Adrian Saunders. Noting the court's June 18 ruling, Justice Saunders then reiterated the steps for selection of a GCOM chairman. He said paragraph 26 to 29 specify that both the head of state and leader of the opposition together select an eligible candidate for the GCOM position. On June 18, the CCJ had ruled that the previous process used to select a GCOM chair was flawed and thus the appointment invalid.
The need to issue consequential orders and directions in this case has been rendered largely unnecessary because we understand that the GCOM chairman has voluntarily resigned his office since the delivery of our judgment on 18th June 2019.
Former GCOM chairman, retired Justice James Patterson, officially handed in his resignation on June 25th. Felicia Valenzuela, InfoHub.
His Excellency President David Granger has addressed the nation following today's decision by the CCJ. Join NCN Channel 11 later this evening for a full address by the President. Let's tell you now that His Excellency President David Granger and Opposition Leader, the Honorable Bara Jagdeo, are slated to meet to consider 30 names as they continue the process of hammering out the list of nominees for the position of GCOM chair. This comes as representatives from both sides met on Thursday for the third day of joint talks to work to narrow the list of nominees to 6. However, the sides were unsuccessful in its attempt to reach a consensus.
Representatives of the coalition government and the parliamentary opposition met on July 11 to continue the search for a chairman of the Guyana Elections Commission. Director General of the Ministry of the Presidency, Joseph Harmon, revealed that President Granger's 8 nominees, plus 5 of those submitted by opposition leader Bara Jagdeo, have been shortlisted.
The representatives of the President and the leader of the opposition had gotten to a point where they believed that our two principals should meet. That is the president and the leader of the opposition, and that for their consideration will be the 13 names that have been shortlisted.
Minister of Public Security Kemrat Ramchitan explained that the meeting was intended to narrow down the list of all names selected. Additional names, he said, were to be provided by the opposition who failed to do so. The minister said that the opposition team also refused to consider the 8 names proffered by the president.
It is not being with good faith negotiating if when you do it in relation to their 11 names that we cannot do it. That is not being consensualist. They are being very unilateralist. Literally, they are dismissing the 8 names, stating that we don't have to say whether that should be narrowed down further, so that with that narrowed down from the 8, let's say 4 or whatever it is, they will now have 5 and 4, and then we could probably leave that with the president and the leader of the opposition to then work out their 6 from that.
The minister took umbrage to the opposition team's claims that they needed to verify whether the list submitted by President Granger found favor with him. President Granger
was obviously names that came from us. And there must have been, to a certain extent, names that should be shortlisted. That is not acting in good faith. It is not acting like the consensualist, with the consensualist approach that the leader, that the CCJ talk about. That's all I wish to say.
President Granger and the opposition leader will meet next to determine the way forward. Paul McAdam for InfoHub.
Public Health Minister, the Honorable Waldo Lawrence, has charged regional health officials to ensure budgets for healthcare are drafted with the best interest of the people in mind. The minister was at the time meeting with the Region 10 Upper Demerara Berbice administration to discuss fundamental areas which need improvement for the effective delivery of health service.
Senior officials from the Ministry of Public Health, the Region 10 RDC and the Regional Health Officer met to discuss critical aspects of healthcare which are needed in the Upper Demerara Upper Berbice area.
Each region is unique, and so we want to ensure that whatever we're doing, whatever we're asking from the government's coffers, it is that which will help us to meet our objectives. And objectives are not different. I can assure you that. All we need you to do is to embrace that vision and take ownership in your region, since you are the closest authority to the persons within your region.
Minister of Public Health, Waldo Lawrence. She noted that this meeting was facilitated to ensure that budgets for healthcare are drafted with the best interest of the people who are accessing the services. Regional Executive Officer explained there has been slow but sure progress in the region.
For the last 3 or 4 years, I've only been there a little over a year, the last 3 or 4 years, you go back into the records, there have been deliberate interventions made in terms of returning Upper Demerara Hospital to a real, the hospital that it used to be in the past. Upper Demerara Hospital has a very rich history.
To ensure that the best quality of healthcare is delivered in Region 10 and by extension throughout the country, the Ministry of Public Health is assisting the various regions to identify targeted health sector developments. At the meeting were Deputy Chief Medical Officer Dr. Karen Gordon Campbell, Regional and Clinical Service Director Dr. K. Sheko, among other senior staff of the ministry, along with Regional Health Officer Pansy Armstrong, among others. For InfoHub, Delicia Haynes.
Still to come, the island of Leg want to get additional infrastructural upgrade and 37 awarded for outstanding performances in STEM. The details after the break.
Are you ready to embark on a truly epic adventure to an undiscovered corner of South America, where some of the most spectacular natural attractions are unveiled within a beautifully diverse landscape? From the wetlands and savannas to the ancient mountains, magnificent waterways and lush enriching rainforest would provide a vast playground for some of the most exotic and breathtaking creatures on the planet, including many of the world's giant species. this untouched land of mystery and wonder serves up an exclusive experience for travellers. So are you ready for a new, awe-inspiring adventure? Welcome back to nature. Welcome to Guyana.
Welcome back. A team attached to the Ministry of Public Infrastructure toured the island of Leguan on Thursday to assess completed and ongoing projects.
Minister within the Ministry of Public Infrastructure, Honorable Jaipal Sharma, highlighted some of the sea defense works here on the island and plans moving forward.
I could say this administration since 2015 to present did numerous work in Leguan, because in this particular area in Canefield here, Leguan, this road that you're looking at here was inundated with water whenever there's a high tide. And nothing could have passed, people couldn't even walk on it. And because of this structure here, done, I think it was BK International, an ex-contractor, it prevented the surge of the ocean, the river, and the Atlantic from coming into the island of Leguan.
The 300-meter Whiprap Sea Defense structure was completed in 2018. During the visit, road upgrades were identified, and Anita Sankar, a housewife and mother of 3, shared her opinion on the upcoming project.
It's about 36 years and this dam never made. The children, they go into school and coming out of the dam and going out, the boots, when they come home, it's wet. The socks, the boots, they have to change the boots.
We will be upgrading that road to a crusher-run road, so residents would be their livelihood will be improved.
That was District Engineer Sinarai Nandram. These works are expected to commence during the dry season. On hearing the news, Anita said,
I think that'll be better for the children and everybody that's using the dam.
Additionally, residents from Endeavour to Amsterdam will also benefit from the improvement of 1,000 meters of Cushion Run Road to an asphalted concrete surface. Shaquille Bourne, Foreign for Hub.
37 students from several city schools were today awarded for their outstanding achievement in the areas of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics.
Education Minister Dr. the Honorable Nicolette Henry commended the students for their commitment to STEM and urged them to stay the course.
Education is the single most important tool that will develop this country, and we have to begin to ensure that we deliver a higher quality of education to all of our people.
The program is an accompaniment to the Ministry of Education's after-school STEM program, which sees almost 500 students benefiting an extra hour of STEM-focused learning 4 days a week.
This is an area that we are focusing on, and we're certainly encouraged by the support that we're receiving from partners. And so I'm really pleased to see students from grade 9 to 11 who are in school who find that time to get the additional support that they need.
The program develops skills in robotics, information technology, and all other science subjects taught at the secondary level. The minister also reminded that come September, robotics will be introduced to the primary school curricula.
In the next school year, which begins in September, robotics will be introduced in all of our primary schools.
The students were drawn from Central High, St. Mary's High, St. Rose's High, Charlestown Secondary, Dolphin Secondary, St. John's College, North Fernveld Multilateral, and the VYC STEM Academy. The initiative is a collaborative effort between the Volunteer Youth Corps, Inc., the Ministry of Education, and ExxonMobil. Letitia Isaacs for InfoHub.
Many parents and students are confident in the public school system, which the government has been placing heavy investments, whether it be to modernize the institutions or to put systems in place to ensure children are not being prevented from attending schools due to lack of food or transportation. The result of this year's National Grade 6 Assessment is testimony of the efforts made to improve the public school system.
One such student is one of the country's top performers at this year's National Grade 6 Assessment, 11-year-old Venetia Lal, a simple yet incredibly talented lass of the Seven Noons Primary School and Regina, Essequibo Coast. When her father offered her the opportunity to attend a private institution on the coast, she turned it down.
Her father had wanted her to be part of the private schools, but she said no, it's a no to that. She wanted to be part of the public schools so that she can feel the culture from the other children that would have been here, she loves to be part with them. She loves to be with them, feel their kind of culture.
With 532 marks, Venetia has been awarded a place at Queen's College. However, she has opted to spend her 5 years of secondary education at another government school, the Anna Regina Multilateral School. All the other top performers of her school, including her best friend, Gavasha Cinda Harpal, will be attending Anna Regina Multilateral School as well. Located at Cotton Field, ARMS has been performing outstandingly in the Caribbean Secondary Education Certificate for decades, but most recently its performance has been nothing than stellar. In 2018, Shakira Bolo copped 21 passes at the CSEC examination. The school was also recently renovated. The government's vision for education has been seen in the hefty sums invested annually in the national budget. President David Granger revealed recently that the government has invested over $172 billion over the last 4 years, more than it has spent in any other single sector.
I feel that the government over the last 4 years has been able to raise a large part of the student population out of the danger of becoming what they call NEETs, not in education, employment, training, NEET. So we have fewer failures, fewer dropouts. At one time, in the early 2000s, children were dropping out maybe 3 or 4 a day from the schools. Now the dropout rate has fallen. So NGSA for me is, I won't call it a leveler, but it has shown that fewer children are failing absolutely.
Reporting for InfoHub, Alexis Rodney.
That's all for today. Connect with us on WhatsApp, Facebook, and YouTube. Much more news is on our website, dpi.gov.gy, and pop over to Instagram for the latest photo updates at DPI Guyana. Your bridge and weather reports are up next. Have a safe and enjoyable weekend. Goodbye for now.